welcome to Taking It to the Streets. I'm your host, Andy Goldman from sunny St. Pete, Florida. This is the show where we take it to the streets, knowing if we don't, the streets will take it to us. Welcome to Taking It to the Streets. It's Andy Goldman, of course, joined by Mike McLaughlin. This show brought to you by Wrightwood Medical. You can reach Wrightwood Medical at www.wrightwoodmedical.com or 773-848-7100. Wrightwood Medical, your leader in refurbished medical equipment. All right, we've got a lot to unpack, as we always do here on Taking the Streets. Before we do, folks, if you're watching this, you've been watching this, you got to hit the subscribe button. It's not me. We promise we will not bother you with any kind of spam or commitment. It's completely free. It's non-obligation. Hit the subscribe button. It helps us. It doesn't hurt you, and we would very much appreciate it. So that's the first item of business as we move forward into week 6 of the NFL. Mike, I know I've got a full bucket. I don't know if you do this week. A lot of things crossed my mind. You ripped yourself another 2-1. We will get to that shortly. A few of the things we'll be talking about, just to tease it for you. Of course, our picks will come in a moment. We will talk to you about the things we learned. Kansas City, are they desperate? Josh Allen, when will we start to talk about him in terms of Dan Marino as far as his career? And then we will talk also about Shedeur Sanders. So those are just a few of the teases that I want to throw out there that we will get to shortly. Those are on my path of the slate. But a guy who's gone 8-4 over the last 4 weeks, he's been seeing it, folks, is Mike McLaughlin. Mike, I hope you had a good week. You were great at the window, as always.
Yeah, it's just like on Sunday. I'm bringing up Sam Darnold. I'm seeing ghosts if I'm getting 8-4. So, yeah, I don't think you can remotely talk about last week without discussing that Cardinals game. It was a comedy of errors watching them blow that game, between the guy dropping the ball at the end zone, which still baffles me that this can occur. I mean, it should have occurred one time ever. It should never occur again. And it seems like, I mean, what is the purpose? He almost got caught from behind on a 72-yard run because he slowed down. I mean, you got to run through the end zone and hand the ball to the referee. Don't just, I mean, it's not even an exciting celebration. I mean, I just can't get over it. And then to watch them drop the fumble, the interception, then fumble it, then kick it into the end zone. I mean, it was a miracle for the Titans to win. I mean, the fact that the Titans were able to win that game tells you how bad of a coach Brian Callahan is.
Well, and what's a fireable offense in the NFL? So let's talk about that for a moment. So someone who has mental problems, like that, the old wide receiver, who am I thinking of from Pittsburgh and Tampa?
Antonio Brown.
Yeah, Antonio Brown is, oh my God, but when he takes his shirt off at the Meadowlands, it is absolutely beyond reproach as far as the NFL is concerned. But when this no-name bum from Arizona can't cross the plane without fumbling the ball and giving his team a loss, and they end up losing by 2 instead of winning by 5. Yes, I'm a score and death pooler. Join the club. But I'm just asking a lawyer, what is a fireable offense? I always defer to Vegas. If he's on your team or he's not, it will not change your win total. He has zero effect on the win total. So why would you not fire him for that offense? And if you don't send that message to the clubhouse, what do you have to do short of murdering somebody on a highway or sticking up a Circle K to get fired in the NFL or having a mental health problem?
Well, couple reasons. You fire him if he is the third string running back. He is the starting running back now. I mean, if Connor is there, if Trey Benson is there, there's a chance he gets let go. I mean, there's a hierarchy of stardom.
But he's a third stringer. He's a third stringer that's been promoted to first string because of injury.
Correct. And because of that, I don't think you can let him go. And, the guy did make a 72-yard run, so he's clearly got some talent to get there. It's, I would assume the guy's never going to make the mistake again. And I don't know what happens to players when they get to the end zone. I would be, I never scored a touchdown because I played defense in high school, but I just can't imagine letting go of the ball. But I don't think
What recourse does the coach have when the team finishes 8-9 instead of 9-8 and misses the playoffs by a game with management? And does he have recourse if you were representing him as far as that's a win? That's not. He has no. I mean, recourse in quotes. I'm not using it literally.
Yeah.
Figured.
No, they still blew that game, and what is my long-term motto been with the Cardinals? Never trust Kyler Murray. If Kyler Murray is a part of a game, you are never safe. So that is not surprising that it happened to this organization. It's not surprising that it happened to this team. It's ridiculous that the Titans are somehow getting a win in that game. And like you said, I didn't realize it knocked you out. Sorry to hear that. But it's insane that it took that many events for Callahan to get his first win on the season. And them getting
Mike, he's not coaching the 85 Bears. I mean, you make it sound like Callahan's out there coaching. I mean, this Cam Ward is a shaky prospect on his best side.
I disagree with that. It's unfair to label him. One, he's only played 5 games, and he's played a slate of defenses that are as good as any in the league right now.
Well, then why does he get the break and Callahan doesn't?
Well, because Callahan has a track record of being 3-17 before he started coaching.
Yeah, but look where he's coached.
He's coached there. He doesn't know the rules. He blew a challenge in week 1. He mismanaged the game in week 2. I mean, he's in over his head, in my opinion. But I'm not suggesting firing him. But I'm just saying, if you're 4-18 as a career coach, there's not a lot of success. There's not a lot of guys that started 4-18. I mean, that's a relatively large.
And there's not many guys in the Hall of Fame that started at Cleveland and Tennessee.
No,
with these teams,
and they've already screwed it up because they should have never let Vrabel go. They let Vrabel go over keeping the general manager. They subsequently fire the general manager after that. Then they bring in Callahan and they don't even pair him with the GM. That's, it's what bad organizations do.
Yeah.
Bad organizations remain bad organizations until they figure it out like the Lions.
Right. No. And we'll talk more about this, Mike. That's always, again, that's the Bears model. So the Bears always give that recourse to the current coach that it's not his guy. Idiotic way to run a team. So Ben Johnson has the option. A place like Chicago actually spins this as a positive when it's just so stupid. So Ben Johnson has an option on Caleb Williams for you finance types out there. Okay? The option is that Caleb Williams isn't his guy, correct? That is Ryan Poles' guy. So it's idiotic if you're a fan or, God forbid, paying a PSL license to watch that team, like thousands do in Chicago, a premium to watch that kind of mindset. So I guess Johnson has the option on Williams. I do not know what Ryan Poles' option is because I do think he hired Eberflus. He definitely hired Johnson. So he has no more options by a normal person's understanding of what an option would be. Regardless, if you're a smart team, you marry up the general manager to the head coach, so neither have an option on each other. That would be the smart way to play the cards. So in Tampa, Light as well as Bowles do not have an option on each other because Light hired Todd Bowles from Bruce Arians. So it's a smart play by Tampa to do things. That would be the right model. But again, we know nothing that happens in Tampa gets talked about outside of Hillsborough County. It's horrible for business. So
look what happened with Jacksonville. Jacksonville wanted to hire Liam Cohen, and Liam Cohen said, no, if you're going to keep Trent Baalke. And they eventually, he won the power play. I mean, he said, I can stay in Tampa with this offense and get a better coaching job than Jacksonville. And he did the smart thing by they brought in a guy from Los Angeles who looked like he's about 13, but he's at least going down with his guy. I mean, Balky is a coach firer. He gets coaches fired because he cuddles up with the owner and he says, it's not my fault. Look how good these players are. They're just not coaching them up. So,
Mike, I don't have much to chest stuff about, but one thing I do is I gave you a long-winded spiel on this podcast before week 1 about Liam Cohn. And folks, rewind it. If anyone gave that kind of spiel on ESPN or Fox, feel free to send it to me. And that's before week 1 about the 7.5 point over-under. And I told you there's a feeling I have about them. And they're just as live as could be. If there's a team that should be 5-0 out there, how they blew the game at Cincinnati is their only mistake, and that was in hand. They had that game late in the fourth quarter. They was close to a 5-0 start, as could be. This is no surprise. Liam Cohn is the real deal. They're not a Super Bowl team because of their defense, okay? They're not winning a Super Bowl, but are they going to the playoffs? I think they are. They're going to rip through that 7.5 point over-under. The 7.5 game over-under that we talked about week 1. And they're doing absolutely everything I thought they would be. So go on, Mike. Give me what else but they've been spectacular.
Well, and the other thing is they're not really getting anything out of Travis Hunter. I mean, they drafted Hunter like he was a two-way player. It doesn't. I mean, he's potentially going to pay dividends down the road, and he may get better now, but he's not really giving him a ton on offense or defenses. And
I guess the scary part, Mike.
Well,
that's the scary part because I'm a huge Hunter fan, and that's the scary part is we got a little glimpse of him last night about how great he is. When you have the confidence to put him on Xavier Worthy after he's done playing offense, you go have him check a guy has the record at the combine for the 40 in 4.2 and change. And that's the guy they put on Hunter. Hunter is an off-the-charts freak of nature as far as an athlete goes. Off the charts. So there's nothing we've seen like this guy. And like you said, they don't know how to use him. He's lightning in a bottle. They don't know if they want to use him on offense or defense. Surely isn't hurting them with their wins and losses. He's adding something to. I mean, last night, Mike, you got glimpses of what a stud this guy's going to be.
Yeah, and I still think, I'm not as down on their defense as you are. I mean, they were missing Trayvon Walker. Yeah, but I think he had a hand injury, and they've got Hines double name, but he's the other end. Josh Hines Allen, and they can get after the quarterback. So if you get Hunter, I mean, I think for the first year, it never made sense to me to try and have a young player who doesn't weigh very much try to play both positions. Let him develop an NFL body. He does not have an NFL body yet. I mean, he's a freak athlete. Don't get me wrong,
right?
But let him shine at corner or let him shine at wide receiver, and slowly ease him in. I think they're doing that, and they have a plan for him. But the idea that anybody thought he was going to come in and be Shohei Ohtani is absurd. He doesn't. You can't subject your body to that much punishment at this, without developing an NFL body.
Yeah,
I mean, he's in. They're a college team is not going to get you ready for the NFL. So I think in a year or two we might see the best of them, and at the long-term play. But yeah, the Jags look like, it looks like there may be two teams coming out of the AFC South, and that was supposed to be the worst conference in football. And the Colts look like a wrecking ball. I mean, they're benching their starters in the middle in the NFL. You don't see that. That's a college move,
right?
Anthony Richardson is the human version of a victory cigar. If he comes in the game, you're kicking somebody's butt because they have no desire to play him, and he's already made appearances in 3 games because they've dominated so many teams.
Right.
So I mean, the AFC South to me is the biggest shock, and like the NFC North may be the fraudulent conference, maybe a division, and the Ravens, I'm still going to defend them that they're missing $160 million out of a $278 million cap. they're missing $160 million in contracts not playing. That's a substantial hit if you're looking at it from an evaluation. I mean, and that's something that you just can't overcome. I mean, we saw the same thing. Chargers offensive line. I was worried. I was sweating that game because I took the Commanders, and by the second quarter, they had lost 2 additional offensive linemen, and at some point, it just becomes untenable. I mean, offensive linemen are.
I'll disagree with you, though, Mike. They're not missing more than San Francisco was missing on short week against the Rams, and we can get San Francisco's payroll that they were missing against the Rams, and they figured out a way on short week and travel to get a victory. So that would take me to my point is that I don't think these NFL teams have an idea about the difference between a first stringer and a second stringer, and they might not have a different idea about who the difference is between a second stringer and a third stringer. San Francisco proved that to us, okay? There is no difference between their first string and their second string.
That is just patently wrong.
It's not. How'd they win?
You're using one example and saying that proves the norm.
And you're using one example.
No, I'm using several examples. I'm using the Chargers. I'm using the Ravens. The Chargers were starting backup offensive, third string offensive linemen. Third string offensive linemen. Offensive line is the hardest position to play in the NFL because of the physical mismatch between how gifted defensive ends are versus how gifted offensive linemen are. So to say that because one team won a game with a first-round draft pick at quarterback.
Yeah, who hasn't been good.
Well, he hasn't been good.
Until he found
Kyle Shanahan is a good coach. And if you remember back in 2021, Kyle Shanahan wanted to draft him, and John Lynch convinced him to take Trey Lance.
Yep.
They gave up 3 first-round draft picks to do it.
Right.
So if San Francisco had kept the pick and stayed at, I think it was 9, they would have been able to take Mac Jones and then had 2 first-round draft picks the next 2 years. Instead, they got Lance, a guy who they quickly figured out could not play. You know, Brock Purdy may be pumping gas somewhere or working, in pharmaceuticals sales somewhere if Mac Jones gets taken by the 49ers and Trey Benson goes somewhere else.
Lots of ifs there.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, they figured out a way to win. Tampa figured out a way to win with their backup offensive line. So there's ways to do it. It's not like Baltimore's going to use the how can we be expected to win with Cooper Rush behind center? People figure it out. Sorry, dude. It's not exactly moving a mountain. There's a way you can call a different game, like San Francisco did. You can turn it over your defense. I mean, there's different ways to win a game.
There are, but it's makes it a hell of a lot harder when you're missing that much talent. And I'm not giving Baltimore a pass, but in their defense, like you said, I wasn't, when I've been defending them, I haven't been saying, Baltimore's defense is Ray Lewis's defense. They haven't been dominant in a while, but when you're already a mediocre defense and then you're replacing it with less talented players, you're not gonna execute as well. But they no-showed on Sunday, so that one was a bad look, and it'll be interesting to see. I don't think Lamar's probably playing this week again because they have a bye week on week 7, and so there's no reason to. And quite frankly, I still think that the AFC North is very winnable. I mean, Pittsburgh do they scare you? You think Pittsburgh is this dominant team? I mean, with Aaron Rodgers, he can do a couple things well, but I
just think it's wide open, Mike. I just think it's wide open across the board. I think we got tipped off, for those that follow the teachings of Las Vegas, that, there were 4 or 5 teams that they put at 11.5 for the totals over under, which was embarrassingly low. That was a tip off that there's parity is going to be the name of the game. And this is a year where Jacksonville can get through and make something happen. And it's not like this is a great Jacksonville. It's just in these waters, they're right. They're competitive. They can do something.
Yeah, and I think the NFC is, the last couple of years, everybody has said, "Oh, the AFC is so stacked." AFC has, you know, the last couple of years has had three good teams and kind of garbage underneath it. I mean, the Bills, the Ravens, and the Chiefs, you knew were always going to be in it.
Yeah.
And they are not the NFC is much more competitive in my opinion. And they're not, again, I agree there's not any great teams this year, but you don't see great teams don't come out in October. It's the last 8 games where you start to see teams turn it on. Think about Philadelphia last year. The Bucks handled them last year and kind of dominated them.
Yeah.
And
that was an early on game. Yeah.
It was an early game. And, Detroit last year was gangbusters out of the gate and then died because of all the injuries.
Right.
And the Eagles got healthy and they started to figure it out. But the Eagles have huge problems. I mean, how do you run the ball with Saquon Barkley 6 times? How does he get 6 rushes in a game for 30 yards? So he's averaging 5 yards a carry. You're telling me that's a good game plan against Denver? Let's throw the ball against a team who's
they're up 14 going into the fourth quarter.
They're up 14 and you still
with that game plan.
They had 8 handoffs. Right. The entire game. 7 of them were in the first half.
I know, but would you take being up 14 at home?
I would, but I would then run the ball. Wouldn't you?
I'm just saying that I think they had the game plan. It was a cataclysmic. You just don't see meltdowns like that. Did you know? I mean, you might have known this. Denver, proud NFL franchise, 1 in 112, I think was the number, down 14 or more going into the fourth quarter. That's Denver. That's not a proverbial loser like Chicago, Cleveland, Detroit. That's Denver. That means it's basically impossible to come back down 14 is the way I would take that number. And they did it. They did it on Sunday.
Yeah,
tough call to go. Golf ball. I love the going for 2 when it was 17-16. And I don't know.
But if you watch that, I watched that game.
Yeah, so did I.
The Knicks missed a bunch of throws. I mean, that was not a 14-3 game. You know what I mean? It was, to me, it felt much closer.
Yeah.
A couple plays go this way, and like the announcers were kind of surprised. They're like, "Oh, we got ourselves a game." I was like, "What game have you been watching?" If they make a couple of plays, that
My takeaway was I'd throw both those teams out. I don't think either of those teams are going anywhere.
No, Denver. I mean, again, I think we got to be patient with young quarterbacks, and I think Knicks is slowly starting to figure out. And more importantly, I think that Peyton is starting to figure him out more and more. And I think Peyton, as much as I do not like him, again, I should probably keep like a burn book of people I don't like. Maybe I should just keep a book of people I do like, because that's probably smaller than the book of people I don't like.
How about cities? And cities you don't like?
I have a lot of hate to spread, but Sean Payton, as much as I cannot stand him, he is a legitimate difference maker as a coach, and he outcoached him on Sunday. They blew that game, but I also felt like they had the right game plan, and I don't know that game should have been as close as it was, because I think Denver could have executed at a much higher level than what they did. And again, without having preseason, without having, we have preseason, but hell, half the guys don't play.
Right.
And then you have these joint practices and you can't touch the quarterback. So it's, they're wearing red jerseys. So the first, quarter of the season we're starting, is like the preseason used to be. The preseason was 6 games at one time, which is outrageous. And then they moved it to 4. But I think as teams go on, you start to get your legs, and you start to see that some teams are going to rise, and rising in in quarter 2 and quarter 3 of the season is a hell of a lot more important than rising in quarter 1. That's why I still I don't hold out hope for them, but I'm saying I think the Chiefs are not dead because they're about to get a huge upgrade with Rashee Rice in week 7. He will change their offense. He will make Travis Kelce's life easier. Even if we don't have to discuss his girlfriend singing about his unit, so in her new album, but Rashee Rice plays the Travis Kelce role, even though he's a wide receiver, everything underneath, pop, pop. So now when he comes back, I still think the Chiefs are flawed, but I think they're about to get better with Rice. Rice is a huge difference maker to me. And I think that if you can get the Chiefs after losing last night, it's probably not a terrible, if you were looking at a team to win the AFC, I think the Chiefs probably have as much value as they will ever have for as far as the Super Bowl goes. Because everybody said, oh, they're back because they beat the Ravens last week. And turns out the Ravens may not be very good and, may have crossed the threshold of injuries.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Chiefs are a live, long-term play to win the AFC. I still think they're probably not good enough running the ball to be a legitimate Super Bowl winner. I think they can get there, but you can't have Mahomes being your leading rusher in like 3 out of 4 games. That's a problem. He had 60 rushing yards last night and he was running for his life. And I think Rice is going to make his life a whole lot easier.
I got you. When do we start to make comparisons to Josh Allen and Dan Marino and Josh Allen and Phil Rivers as far as career achievement?
Well,
when Mike, he's 29. I don't think a lot of people first off know that.
He's 9 kids shy of ever being compared to Philip Rivers. Okay. So let's not compare him to Philip Rivers. He needs to put some
more.
What the hell's
the difference?
Seinfeld before he can get there. But I mean,
Rivers. No, what's the difference? Rivers is
Rivers never made it.
And Rivers was 5-7 career in the playoffs. Josh is 7-6. I assume Josh will get better. Assume, keyword. There's no guarantee, but they're not a lifetime away. And Marino, who old people have always used as he wasn't the greatest because he never won a Super Bowl. Okay, he was 8-10 and did go to a Super Bowl.
Yep,
and has a lot of very impressive stats in the postseason. Marino. So Josh is not at the Marino level as far as I'm concerned yet, and he's 29. So when are we going to start hearing and putting some heat under this guy about underperformance?
Well, I think it'll come. I think he and Lamar more so than him this year are starting to get those can't win in the big game reputation.
And they should.
Well, all right, and again, it takes a team, and sometimes when you come into the league is bad for you. I'll give you the best comparison for all your Chicago people. You think anybody else could have won during Michael Jordan's era? The Bulls were a freight train, and there were probably some teams that were very good, like the Pacers. Remember the Reggie Miller?
Of course.
They were a very good team. They took them to the brink.
New York with Starks.
Do I judge them less because they couldn't beat the greatest of all time? And I think Mahomes is certainly in the conversation for the greatest to ever play. And if you look at what he's done, he's never not made a conference final. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. Every year he didn't start his rookie year, remember, because Alex Smith did.
Right.
But every year that he has been a starter, he has been to the AFC Conference Championship.
And beaten Josh. I believe 5 of them.
Losing to Michael Jordan I could sleep well at night losing to Michael Jordan. So I agree with you. And I like you said, I think all these teams are flawed, but that's what the season's for. And that's how you work out during the season. And so if we still see them getting gashed on the ground, they're not legitimate. They're going to get guys back. They're going to start to figure it out. But I'm saying, as much as I don't want to watch the Chiefs they're going to be a threat. They're as big of a threat as anyone. The best thing that's going for the rest of the league is that they may finally not have home field advantage if we can get Denver to hold on. And Denver always plays them tough. So, Denver knows how to play Kansas City as well as any team because they face them twice a year. And I think they beat them last year, one of the games. So if Denver can hold on, then we get to see Mahomes on the road, which he hasn't had to do a whole hell of a lot in the playoffs. And it still scares me. If I'm in the AFC, it scares me that they're getting stronger because they're adding a weapon, not just a weapon because of how he drives, but a weapon because of how he catches the ball.
This episode of Taking It to the Streets is brought to you by Wrightwood Medical, the leader in used and refurbished medical equipment. Wrightwood specializes in ultrasound equipment, but can also be your vendor of choice when sourcing lower-cost alternatives for your operating room suites, scanning the entire medical spectrum. From single physician offices to larger hospitals, Wrightwood is the lower-cost solution for your everyday medical equipment needs, and all of Wrightwood's equipment comes with warranty. You can reach Wrightwood directly at www.wrightwoodmedical.com. That is with a W, WRIGHTWOOD medical, or 773-848-7100. Again, 773-848-7100. If it's used medical equipment, it's Wrightwood Medical.
We got to get to our picks, but before we do, real quickly, I want to talk about Shedeur Sanders. I want to get your take on Shedeur Sanders. Is that there's been so much written, so much talked about, obviously. Here's my take, folks. Like I said, I gave you the long-winded spiel about Liam Cohen before week one. Mike is my witness. Here is the deal. This Sanders is not good enough to be an NFL impact quarterback. There's nobody more desperate in the NFL to have a quarterback than Cleveland. Okay, let me repeat that. There's no team more desperate in the NFL to have a starting quarterback than Cleveland. I don't know how insulting it is that they chose, after a mini camp, a draft, and 60% of their camp, to go with a 40-year-old cripple at quarterback. Okay, that's our first red flag. Our second red flag is that they depth charted you behind Dillon Gabriel. I'm not going to give you his foray in college football, but it was UCF, Oklahoma, Oregon, throwing the ball every single time. It's not exactly a compelling resume for Gabriel. Okay, it's not a compliment that you're behind him. If you have any faith at all in the scouts or the analytics or anything, it tells you how bad Sanders is. Period. There's no other way. There's no reason. I don't understand why there's this fury behind him. Mike, do you agree or not agree? I mean, basically what the scouts and the powers that be have tried to tell you people is that he played 2 years in an HBCU. Okay, he played at Jackson State for his first 2 years for his dad. We talked about last week about appreciating a number versus depreciating a number. We use a lot of financial terms on this show. Earlier in the show, we talked about options trading, okay, and comparing that to general manager and head coach. So we talked about appreciation versus depreciation last week. They've clearly depreciated his numbers because of a couple of huge elephants in the room. One, the HBCU, is that correct? Historically Black College University. That's correct. Yeah, that he's played in HBCU. Now that conference, for the record, has put out 21 Hall of Famers over the course of its entire time. It's going to be the stalwarts, the joiners, Larry Littles,
Jerry Rice.
The only person you young people have heard of that came out of that conference of recent nature is Strahan, maybe Steve McNair. Okay, so it's not a bad conference. No gripe against that conference. It's the SWAC, the Southwestern Athletic Conference. He played at Jackson State for 2 years. He put up big numbers. He's playing for his dad. That's the first elephant in the room. The dad was priming him to get to a Division I college, or so the insinuation of the scouts. gets to Colorado, and also throws until his arm falls off 50 times a game. But the scouts have made it abundantly clear that you depreciate his numbers because of his dad calling every single play for him and playing for Travis Hunt with Travis Hunt. Okay, that is are my facts correct? So if when you're done depreciating every single stat and saying, you know what, if he doesn't play for his dad and he doesn't play for Travis Hunter and he doesn't have Travis Hunter for 2 years at Jackson State, what would he be?
Well, he just got promoted.
No, I know. But again, a very left-handed, insulting way to get promoted is to have the cripple move on to Cincinnati.
Listen, I don't like the age discrimination against Joe Flacco. He moves better than either one of us, so I will not stand here and sit by the slander.
I hear you, but Mike, where do you fall on what I've said about Sanders?
I don't care about him. He's a waste to talk about. The reason people didn't take him was because, in a lot of ways, and again, if I can take a shot at Florida, I always will. People didn't want Tim Tebow because of what he brought with him. People thought it was always a positive. It's a circus. If you have him as your second string quarterback, it's a circus.
Yep.
There's a reason people don't want him. You saw him this week when he was interviewed, and they asked him about not being promoted to second string and Joe Flacco remaining as the second string, and he pantomimed his answers. He just didn't answer because Rex Ryan had said on some stupid ESPN show, this guy needs to shut up. So this is the kind of, antics you get with this guy. He is the premier example of a NLI baby. And what I mean by an NLI baby is a guy that's gotten paid a ton of money, doesn't need the money, has the fame. He's got streaming. So until he does something, he's not worth anybody's breath. And I hope he does well. I don't root against anybody. Deion was Florida State guy. So I'll root for him to do well, but it's a waste of breath what other second string quarterback are people talking about? It's like such an absurd, I don't mean you, I'm saying it's an absurd narrative from the public.
Well, and it's incredible that Cleveland continues to make horrible decision after horrible decision. Feel good, Chicago. There's always one stupider and dumber and worse than you. There's one owner that's worse than the McCaskies. Hooray. You won, though. You've won. The Haslams are actually worse than the McCaskies. So the only difference that separates McCaskey from Haslam is McCaskey, believe it or not, has been to 2 Super Bowls. Haslam and the franchise that is the Browns have not. So, again, Chicago, you have once again won the tallest midget contest. So, for all of you from Chicago, you've had your moment. All right, Mike, with that said, Mike has gone 8-4 last 4 weeks. That's as solid as anything you've heard out there, folks. And the floor is his. He is 9-6 for the season, 8-4 last 4 weeks. Take us away, Mike. 3 picks, please.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate you. I know you're not in any way trying to jinx me there to catch up. So I'm going to go while I still can. It's funny how I can talk out of both sides of my mouth. You wouldn't know I was a lawyer, but I can do it. So I'm taking the Lions minus a +1.5 at Kansas City. I think the Chiefs. The one thing I like about Detroit, I know you dislike their pedigree and everything, but the one thing I love about Detroit is when they get on top of you, they don't get off. So, and they will beat you down, and they can do it in a variety of ways.
They got off Cincy. They got off Cincy last week.
They covered. Cincinnati, what did they? It was 34 to.
They got off.
Yeah, but this game they're not getting off. This is the Chiefs, and I still think it's a desperate Chiefs team. That scares me a little bit. It's in Arrowhead. That scares me a little bit. But I like everything I'm seeing about the Lions right now. Their defense is taking over games. They are able to beat you in so many ways. I think the narrative that Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson are the reasons for their success is starting to fade away. People are realizing that they've got stuff in-house and that culture matters. And so I hate going against Mahomes, but if you can't run the ball and Mahomes is your running back, one, that's not sustainable for him. He's taken more hits this year than he has in a long time. And most of the time when he was taking hits, it's because his offensive line was terrible. The offensive line, it's like between Kareem Hunt and Pacheco, those are just, neither one of them look like quality backs to me. Right. So, and when he's getting 60 yards, that's a problem. You do not want Patrick Mahomes with 6 rushes for 60 yards. That's a problem. So I like the Lions. Give me some points. I like to gobble those up. Anytime the Lions, you're very rarely going to get the Lions as dogs anywhere. Next game, I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm going against the Panthers again. It's like I have to prove that I'm a moron every week. Every single time I pick against the Panthers, I lose. I even jinxed myself during the game. I was like, well, I called this one right. I said that to my wife, and she just, of course, wasn't paying attention, doesn't think what I think about it, but they're up 17-0. They're cruising. And what happens? Tua happens. I mean, he is starting to remind me of Kyler Murray. I watched the game. I mean, they couldn't stop the run. I mean, Dowdle had 206 yards, and I think they were outrushed by like 210 yards. They don't even attempt to run the ball. They just go back and throw it. And, but Tua, if his first read isn't there, teams have figured out he doesn't know what to do. And we know he's not running because he's a concussion waiting to happen. So I think, though, the Panthers are going to be able to run on the Cowboys. What I am a little excited about by taking the Cowboys, one, I get to watch Jerry Jones do weird stuff in the box. And two, more importantly, I think they can score on anybody. I mean, Dak is playing at as high of a level as I've seen. And, everybody was like, how could they let Mike McCarthy go? He won 12 games 2 years ago. And it's, and of course they made it a drama, but, Schottenheimer is getting a ton of offense out of him. I mean, Jake Ferguson, the tight end, is catching everything. If you don't have him in your fantasy, pick him up. He's gone by now, but I mean, I think he had 7 catches for like 2 touchdowns last week. Dak is playing at a phenomenal level, and they're doing it without CeeDee Lamb. And I know their defense stinks, but unless you play Justin Fields. And Justin Fields, how he has a job is beyond me. I mean, anybody who is in Pittsburgh who thinks, oh, wow, we made a mistake letting him go, just watch the tape against the Cowboys, who we have been bashing their defense all season. Eberflus bump even going, and he could not stop. He was so ineffective against them, and their defense started to get after him, and I saw some signs of improvement. It may just be because it's the Jets, but I think the Cowboys can score with anybody, and the Panthers don't seem to do anything until they're down 17. Bryce Young's like he takes NyQuil before every game, and he doesn't wake up until, oh, right, we're down 17-0. I guess I should do something. But I think the Cowboys at minus 3.5, right? Is what you sent me.
Yep.
I like the Cowboys minus 3.5. Just because I think they can score. And I think the best thing about the Cowboys when you're betting on them is they won't stop scoring because they know they're going to get scored on. So they are a team that doesn't step on your neck out of necessity, out of, because they're a quality team. They do it because they know no lead is safe. So I took them there. The last one I had a lot of problems with. I was circling between a bunch of games. I ended up with the Seahawks against Liam Cohen and the Jags. It's a short week for them. I thought that the Jags played a sloppy game and won. They could have very easily lost that game. I mean, Trevor Lawrence still looks like he's still just there's something missing with him. You know what I mean? It's like as good as he was at Clemson, he just has it's never really translated to the pros. I don't know if it's his attitude. I don't know if it's his hair. I don't know. He just doesn't seem to have the natural fire that you want to kind of see with a quarterback. And the Seahawks took the Bucs to the brink. Probably should have won that game. It was not what I would call a defensive battle, since they were just going up and down the field. But they're getting a 1.5 is what it looks like. The Seahawks. Hate that it's a 1:00 game because there's no way to prepare. Jacksonville may be hotter and smellier than Tampa, certainly smellier. But the Seahawks, I just think they're a quality team. And I think they may be getting some of their defensive backs back. Woolen may be coming back, although I heard he was on the trade block. So, and he's been a stud for him, so I'm surprised by that. I think that their coach can confuse Lawrence, and he wasn't able to confuse Mayfield, which surprised me because Mayfield will throw some picks, and he didn't this week. So I don't love the pick, but I am going to take Seahawks in the points at +1.5.
All right, so repeat them, Mike. Give me your 3 picks.
I took the Lions against the Chiefs +1.5. I took the Seahawks +1.5 against the Jags, and I took the Cowboys -3.5 against my nemesis, the Panthers.
Okay.
This is the week, Panthers. I'm coming for you.
Okay.
If not, I won't pick against them again.
Once again, you've picked against the Chiefs at Arrowhead.
I love it.
The first tour was the Baltimore game. Here comes the second tour, and this is second on the road for Detroit. So, and hated the second half from Detroit. But there's always so much I despise from Detroit. I can't. Every single time I watch them, I can point out things allowing that Cincinnati team to post 23 points on you, constantly playing out of their end zone, throwing picks, third string quarterback. Not for me. And then the pedigree. All right, here we go. I'm 6-9. My first selection is going to be Carolina +3.5 over Dallas. So Mike and I head on in that one. I mean, it's really the battle of Mike and I in every essence. It's, a key number plus a hook, which Mike doesn't.
Bears versus pros.
And I do. Well, it's everything we stand opposed on. So it's 3.5. So it's a key number plus I win on the 3. Mike doesn't believe in that. It's a home dog. I don't know if Mike believes in that, but I sure as heck do. So you get Carolina, you get the home team as a dog. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that game at Carolina or is that game at Dallas? I believe
At Carolina.
Yeah, so I get a home dog and I get a key number plus the hook. Put me on Carolina. And that's the Mike versus Andy Bowl. We'll see where that one plays out.
Oh, I'm 0-1 in that thus far.
Okay. New Orleans, I'll take the 3.5 against New England. Folks, you missed the good one. You're staring at this screen. You probably didn't have them plus the 8 against Buffalo. This is not the spot to come back with them. The spot was the +8 in the divisional, the Sunday nighter at Buffalo, a bad Buffalo. So this is not it. New Orleans has been as frisky as a team can be. Here we go, home dog, overinflation on New England. Everybody who missed it on Sunday night, who didn't want 8, this is how Vegas is created, didn't want 8 against Buffalo, wants to lay 3.5 to New Orleans. So we will take the 3.5 with New Orleans. And Monday night, we'll take Atlanta plus the 4.5 against Buffalo.
I knew that one was coming.
It's the schedule for Buffalo. I have never seen anything as weak and pitiful as Buffalo's first over month of the season. Mike, I can't make this up. They played 4 out of 5 at home. The only game they played on the road, if you want to call it the road, was an in-state Jets. About as easy as humanly can. You can't sugar cookie something more if you wanted to, but I am going to sugar cookie it more. Inside those first 5 games, I'm going to give you a mini bye where both sides of the mini bye you get at home. So once again, Are you depreciating Buffalo or are you appreciating Buffalo? I am depreciating them. The road gets tough now. They're going to have to play on the road finally. And going to Atlanta on a Monday night game is, got news for you, going to be a lot tougher than playing at a mini bye against New Orleans and Dolphins at home. And I keep holding on to the Dolphins game. I don't know if you remember that one, Mike. That's where they got called for the roughing the punter and Tua through the pick six, or not through the awful pick in Buffalo territory. Either of those don't happen, they win the game.
Yeah, but it's Tua. You knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, no, it's not a shoulda, coulda, woulda. The New England game, the New England games that everybody
Tua does.
Yeah, and then they win by a point over the Ravens when Henry makes the fumble. So this team's shaky. And I know you're not getting that on ESPN, but you're getting it on Taking It to the Streets. Mike, have I converted you yet to understand that Buffalo is very shaky, or you're not there yet?
I still think offense matters, and it's more important. I mean, offense wins. I know historically we say defense wins championships. It does, but offense wins. And I still, the only thing I worry about with Atlanta, in the back of my mind, I can't get that Carolina game out of my head. That was a bad showing. They seem to have figured it out. And if Bijan Robinson doesn't have 5 catches and 20 rushes, Morris should be fired. I mean, you can run the ball down Buffalo.
Yeah.
I looked at that. I'm not taking it.
Oh, but Mike, the thing with Atlanta is they get such a favorable spot here. It's about the spot. Yeah, they're coming in off the bye, and the last 2 were on the road at Carolina. So it's almost like it's pretty much similar to Buffalo taking a road trip to the Jets, is Atlanta taking a road trip to Carolina. It's nothing. They come home. They've been home for 3 weeks, of which one of them is now off the bye. If you're not on Atlanta here, you're never on Atlanta. Correct?
That's how I live my life. Never on in Atlanta. So,
all right.
But I see the logic. I looked at it. I worry just about with Atlanta's defense. They've been up and down. I mean, giving up 30 to Carolina is it's a red flag to anybody.
27 in Mariota. 27 in Mariota.
Yeah, I mean, so and this is a step up in quarterback play. I know Josh Allen's still a very good quarterback, and I think that they can, with the way Cook is running, like I said, they can win this game, and they can win it by using Robinson. But they've got to they get away from that sometimes, and I don't understand it. He is your best player. Michael Penix is not the best player. Bijan Robinson is the best player on the team.
Why do I see Buffalo winning this game 24-20?
I don't know. Are you?
We'll rewind the tape if that happens. Why do I see 24-20 Buffalo? Well, I just think that Atlanta's going to do what you said. They're going to run Bijan. That's going to run the clock. They're not going to get into an up and down thing with Buffalo. That's idiotic. That's not going to happen. Their strength is running it. So the clock comes with that. So
it should, but they got away with it in the Carolina game. They wanted to show off Penix, it looked like, and I was like, this is a recipe for disaster.
Right.
This is a team you can run on. You have a star running back. Put 2 and 2 together. Why are we throwing, 15-yard outs that look like they all could have got picked up? Penix has a tendency he's turnover prone. He was at Washington. He was at Indiana, Washington, University of Washington, Indiana University.
Yep.
But yes, there is a recipe to beat the Bills, but I'm not willing to bet on Atlanta.
Understood.
But I get the logic.
Folks, we will see you next week. Mike again comes into this week 9-6. I come in 6-9. We will be back here, same place, same time, on Taking It to the Streets.
Goodbye from St. Pete. And remember, folks, you're only as good as your last trade, so never too high, never too low, till we meet again.